Okay, hello people. Welcome today again to the conference, which have started yesterday. We are happy that most of you joined us yesterday. And remember, the theme of this conference still remains Strides of Change, re-engaging the African narrative. And so basically, we are dwelling on the opportunities for positives. And just for the interest of those who might just be joining us just for the first time today, I would like you to kind of meditate on what we've been doing. If you look at the conference materials that we've been using, you realize the use of hooks to connect dots around a central African map, which in broad terms denotes the representative connectivity that needs to happen to bring about positive change in Africa. So I'd like to extend these hooks to connect the dots of the conference, which you all have been part of, starting from yesterday. So of course, you know, this is the 7th edition of the Africa Together Conference, which kicked off yesterday with an address by our own Vice Chancellor at the University of Cambridge, in which, among other things that he said, he did quote our own great man, Chinua Achebe, when he said, if you don't like someone else's story, you should write your own. And I think that is the main thing we are trying to achieve with this conference, trying to write our own stories. Bobby Wine, who happens to be the first keynote yesterday, followed with the keynote, which he succinctly summarized at the end of his speech, with an assurance that we can change our own destiny as a people. A powerful close in which I personally took in with so much optimism for the future of our dear Africa. And so I think it is important that you are able to connect the various discussions that are taking place at this conference to better understand the holistic approach which the conference has taken to attempt to re-engage the African narratives by unpacking our own strides of change. The activities of yesterday has laid the foundation to what we all be seeing today, starting from the first panel where we looked at the African people and the state of policy. The panel tried to unpack and re-engage the re-emergence, the legitimacy and future of the social development as a stride of change in the region. Thereafter, the first panel was followed by the second, which was a business panel that looked at accelerating economic development through public and private partnership. And then we had the third panel where we looked at the access to not just quality education, but equitable one. We rounded up yesterday looking at our own stories through creative media. And so all of these have laid the foundation of what we are going to be seeing today, when we'll be starting up after the keynote address with the first panel that will be looking at entrepreneurship and how to assess investment landscape in Africa. So later on, this will be followed by we taking a shot at how best we can nourish youth leadership in Africa. And then we'll be ready to wrap up with the resilience of African cities while looking at what the world can actually learn and ways forward. So we'll be having some intermittent breaks here and there. The reason for that is for you to have the opportunity to network with other people who are part of this conference. So try to make use of that. Try to reach out to people, talk to different people, create network connects on LinkedIn, follow up initiative later on. And so without wasting much of our time, I'm going to have the pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for today. This is someone who has flown the African flag across continents while contributing to the strides of changes we have seen across Africa and beyond. She's a 3-time award winner, Grammy Award winner, an icon in the music industry, with a creative force in international music, having 13 albums to herself. She's a recipient of the prestigious 2015 Crystal Award by the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. The 2016 Amnesty International Ambassador of Conscience Award was also given to her. She's a performer with a striking voice, stage presence, and fluency in multiple cultures and language. A woman who's cross-pollinated the West African traditions of her childhood in Benin, with elements of American R&B, funk, jazz, while trying to influence Europe and Latin America with her music. She's recorded her version of album with super producers like Jeff Baskin, Kenny Yell, Jay-Z, Drake, and the rest of them. In addition to music and performance, she's also traveled the world advocating on behalf of children in her capacity as a UNICEF and OXFAM goodwill ambassador. Has created her own charitable foundation, the Batonga, dedicated to support the education of young girls in Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, I know some of you think that I'm the one you've been waiting for, probably because of my tie and my suit, but no, I'm not the one. Because it is my pleasure and my absolute delight to welcome our esteemed keynote speaker, a woman whose footprint is in our path. I give to you, my audience, Angelique Kidjo.
Hello everyone, my name is Angelique Kidjo. I am a singer-songwriter from Benin, West Africa, and also UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador. I grew up in a household where music was at the center. Arts, sport, discussion were at the center of our education. And through music, I've learned about a lot of things. I've learned about the traditional music, the way it tell the stories of change that have come before me. And I have taken that path as a storyteller in a way to tell stories through my songs, because through the songs and music that come from around the world, I realized very early on that music is the only form of art that really reach out to everybody everywhere in the world with no concept of color, nationality, or language. So through my art, I've done a lot of collaboration with musicians from around the world. I've done work with Peter Gabriel and all the way to classical music with Philip Glass. Through music, I've seen how I can touch the soul of people out of Africa and in Africa. I've always been a very strong advocate of seeing the best in other people, of the capacity that we have when we come together to do things together. The resilience of the African women has always been an example for me that carry me in the way I carry myself and everything that I do. And the change that I've seen happening in my continent not only come through music that each one of us we produce and sing, is also through advocacy. When you want to help people see what is better for them, you don't have to tell them what they have to do. All you have to do is to listen. And while listening to them, you hear also the solution that they are not themselves seeing. So speaking and singing has been the way that I have impact change in my continent. I realized today as I'm sitting here talking to you that in the 90s when I started my career, I never could have thought that my music has so much impact on the youth of today. And today, I'm in a place where I can give back what have been given to me and create a bond and a bridge between all the generation for the young African people today that want a different country, a different continent, to know that they have the power of doing it, that they have all the solution in their songs, and they have to be creative. They have to be creative and also be savvy. Thinking about alliances is the best way to really tackle many different issues. And I would say to you that one issue led to the other one is all connected. And I've been investing my time and my energy and my talent and my everything in education. Education, I realize, is the key to transforming our continent profoundly, especially young adolescent education. Secondary and tertiary education is a game changer in Africa. To reduce poverty, we need educated women to understand the messages of health, for them to also think about their role in the society, what they are bringing to the table. Too many times, women think that they are just there to provide for the family. They don't realize, most of them, that they are the backbone of our continent. So when you start educating young girls and young women and help them start business, you realize that in their community, they become leaders. because what they do is that they bring other girls around. So with my foundation, Batonga, we have created safe spaces for them, what we call girl club, where they come together with the seed funding we give them for businesses, for them to have an income-based activity, and they can see different future for themselves. And from that point on, they don't think that their future is in a marriage or early childbearing. So that's the change that I've seen through my foundation, that once you give a woman, a young woman, an ability to have an income-based activity, you reduce childbirth at death and many different things that can really help reduce poverty. So now let me tell you a story of transmission, one transmission. At 8 years old, I discovered the music of Miriam Makeba, with my mom singing with other friends of her, using the song of Miriam Makeba to ask for women's right to vote and to decide the life they want to live. And then at 9 years old, I heard Miriam Makeba sing Malaika. I started my career singing Miriam Makeba, Bella Bello, and other female singers, Black African singers. And I moved to France in 1983. And then I have to start my career from scratch, from the person known in Africa to someone that is unknown in Europe. But that challenge I was not afraid of, because there is an excitement in me. And I was saying to myself, today I'm an adult. I can make mistakes. I make decisions for myself. I can find for myself. And it gives me wings to fly. And always, Miriam Makeba was always among all the challenges that I have to face, because she has faced so many challenges herself, leaving her country and speaking up against apartheid in 1963 at the UN. And then, guess what? Fate has it. I was invited in 1989 to be the opening act for Miriam Makeba shows at the Olympia in Paris. She came on the stage when I was doing my sound check. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know how people feel, but when you meet your role model, you have to be prepared, and I was not prepared. I didn't know she was going to come, and I was so shocked that I have lots of fever after that show was done. And then we kept the contact. We were talking. I met her again in Switzerland. And after a show, it was a festival, we both played. And then she invited me into her room, and we started talking about music. And then she was telling me, never accept the term world music, because our music is the first music, is the second music, is the third music. We cannot accept to be put in a category. And myself, I have been thinking about it. But to have Miriam Makeba tell me that, and I said to myself, well, your feeling were right about this world music business that they put on us. So Miriam Makeba has been, for me, from a role model to a person that I speak to on a daily basis, how to conduct myself on stage. She told me one day, because after the show, I still have my watch on, and she told me, Angelique, there's one thing that I have to tell you, don't take it bad. Don't walk on the stage with a watch. And I say, well, I don't look at it. She said, yes, you don't look at it, but you know when you have a watch, there is a point where the temptation of looking at the time is greater than what you think you won't do. So if you are doing a show and you're looking at your watch, what message are you sending to the public? Are you getting bored, or you don't want them there anymore? So from that day on, I never wear a watch anymore. And for me today, I think that all the people that have met, that have really allowed me to be the artist and the person that I am today, I think that I am in a place today to become and to be a mentor. For the new generation coming out of Africa, like I did with Yemi Alade on the song Dignity on my last album, because we need all this to be done together, cross-generation. And I did another song on that album, bringing in Salif Keita, myself, and Mr. Easy. Always in the tradition of transmission, because our tradition in Africa is oral, and it's a transmission. You pass on to somebody that pass on to somebody else. And if I haven't had people that have been there for me at the beginning. There's no way I could have been where I am. And the change that I see that music brings is that empowering people to see their potential, to see that they can be a leader, they can be agent of change. Let me tell you the story how I started collaborating with Yemi. My brother used to be a jury of AFRIMA, which is an African musical award. And he came back once, and I was visiting my family in Benin, and he came to me and said, there's a young artist that gave me her contact and wanted you so badly to be her mentor. And I said, well, I'm not really good at giving advice because everybody do their craft the way they wanted to. So I finally contacted Yemi and I told her I was coming to Lagos. So we met in Lagos and we start talking, and I discovered a very articulate, a very comfortable and secure professional young artist from Nigeria. And then we start talking about music in general, and she was like, your song Wombo Lombo, man, I used to listen to it so many times a day, and watching your video. And I said, so why don't we do something then? And then she said, yes, let's do something together. And I said, let's start with something that we all agree we can work around. Let's do Wombo Lombo, but I want you to tell me your version of that song, what it inspired you to do. So she came with Shekere, which was a reinvention of Wombo Lombo. And when Shekere, we released Shekere on her album, it was a huge success. Then I was asked by Carnegie Hall to be a curator of the season 2019-2020. And I curated 4 shows. And the last show was my show, March 14, 2020. And because of the COVID, it has been canceled. But Yemi was already in New York where we were rehearsing. So we were so frustrated that we say, well, there's going to be another occasion. But during this COVID-19 pandemic, there were a movement, something that happened in Nigeria. It was the march to end SARS. And I was like, worried. I worried for my people I know and also for the artists. Then I sent a message to Yemi and asked her if she was safe because the police start shooting at people. And then she said, Mom, it is really difficult. I'm afraid they are killing us. We just have to do something. We have to send a message. So I said, let's use music. Music is going to be the best form of saying what you want to say and the Africa you want to see. Let's use one of my songs that I have written that was called Dignity. I will send it to you and I want you to do whatever you want with it. Within a week, she sent me the beats and I said, I like this beat, let's work on it. And then she put her lyrics on. And for me, when I received her lyrics, I was so touched and I could feel what she was trying to tell me through the telephone. And that's exactly what I wanted her to do. What she couldn't express talking to me, she could express it better by singing. And that's how Dignity come about. That's what I love about music, because it helps us say things that touch people everywhere. In 2016, I received a Grammy for my album Sings. And my speech then was to tell the world that the music that is coming from my continent gonna take the world by storm. And I remember people laughing when I did that speech. And I'm like, you better believe it. Africa is on the rise. Africa is strong. And guess what? My speech receiving another Grammy, January 2020. I say my prophecy has come to light. So I dedicated my Grammy to Burna Boy. So it becomes, for me, the result of all those speech and all that have been happening from Africa. It become urgent for me to do an album where I have to invite all those young artists. And I started writing this album in 2019, seeing and being a witness of climate change on the farmers on my continent, and how if we don't bring about awareness about this climate change in Africa, for us to find solution, our own solution to fight climate change, then it's gonna hit us and we won't have anywhere to go and no resources to fight this and to prevail. So my new album, my next album is called Mother Nature. Is for me is a love letter to Mother Nature, in which we can talk about dignity, we can talk about racism, we can talk about many subjects, but always looking forward to tomorrow. How can we all come together, use music together to speak about things that are really important to us? Today, we have technology that can allow us to tell our own stories because our own stories have been told by others for so long. And if you want to take the example of music that come from Africa today, this technology allowed African artists to be successful without relying on any major music label outside of Africa. And that is a game changer because when I started my career, that opportunity was not there. The fact and the way that those young artists are using this new technology to be their own artists in their own right, in their country, respected around the world, is a game changer. So now, music is proven that we can do that. Why can't we all use those technology to tell our story the way we see our continent, to tell the successful story that comes from Africa, the challenges we face and how we are tackling those challenges and the change that are happening where people don't see or don't want to see. In that regard of telling stories and narrative, there is a song that has been written by Burna Boy on my new album Mother Nature that is called Do Yourself. Because he's right. If we don't rise up and make the best out of our continent, no one will do it for us. Africa is beautiful, as I said. And in that song, we are inviting everybody to do their best to tell the positive story of success, of challenges that we face, that we overcome, for people to have envy of us, to come to our continent and to see how we are doing it, the way we are telling our narrative and the way we own it. And in that note, I want to say thank you for inviting me. And I wish to see you sometime. I don't know when. But one thing that I know for sure is together, working together in a different matter, that we can make a better world, especially build a different Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Angelique Kidjo. That was a powerful one. I think everything is crystal clear. There's nothing to explain or say much about that. Africa is on the rise. Africa is where it's happening. Telling stories with music. The question you have to go home with today is, how are you telling your own story with whatever you are doing? So go out there and re-engage the narrative. I just wanted to remind us that we are going to take a very quick break, about 4 minutes, and then we'll get back to the first panel of the day. But before then, just take that couple of minutes to re-engage with people, network, talk to people. And don't forget that you can always tweet and share whatever it is that is happening here with our hashtag 802021, or you can use hashtag Strides of Change Africa. So we'll be back in a couple of moments with you again. Stay tuned.